DIY news. Yes, hello there, my very good friends. Andy here for WhatCulture Wrestling, the only person working today. So it's going to be one of these sewn together bits and pieces style videos. But hey, we got a couple stories to get through. We're going to talk about this being the end of an era for AEW, according to Tony Khan, and a major name leaving Impact Wrestling as well. I've also gone to the well and picked out 5 questions from you guys today because it's a bit of a slow news one, so we're going to drill into some big topics that way instead. Everything is timestamped. Check it out. Anyway, let's begin by talking about this man right here, Sir Tony of Khan. He's not a knight. Why have I called him that? No idea. He made a big proclamation on last night's episode of AEW Collision, and as usual, there's some Tony speak. The man's a wrestling promoter. He's got to promote the show in all of this. But I also think there's a pretty interesting nugget of information straight out of the fryer, that little ball of chickeny goodness. I'll just read what he said. I've chopped it up a little bit to get rid of some of the silliness. Next Sunday, October 1st, it'll be one of the greatest nights in wrestling. At AEW Wrestle Dream next Sunday, we will pay tribute to the dreamer that made it all possible, the late great Antonio Inoki, with an event 1 year in the making. You won't want to miss AEW Wrestle Dream. And here's the interesting part. As we'll end a chapter in wrestling history and begin a new era in AEW live on pay-per-view next Sunday night, October 1st. So the end of an era stuff. Okay, just to kind of get into this. One of the greatest nights in history, we're changing everything. It's pretty straightforward wrestling promotion stuff, right? As far as pay-per-view cycles go. And as far as like Tony just speaks about shows and stuff. It's kind of what he does. The end of an era thing is pretty interesting, considering some of the stories that have been floating around lately. Now, we know that AEW's TV deal is due to be renegotiated this year. And we've had all kinds of stuff over the past 6 months or so, from the $1 billion to the other stuff. It's been chaotic, to say the very least. Most recently, we've had reports from Andrew Zarian that AEW might be moving to a 12 pay-per-view a year model and moving on to Max. And we know that the original TV deal, of course, started in October 2019. I think the first Dynamite was like the 2nd of October. Wrestle Dream is the 1st of October, so, nice bit of symmetry there. Which suggests to me, at very least, that this is some kind of rights fee TV deal, pay-per-view deal, gimmick thing going on here. End of an era. What happens? Have they negotiated with a new broadcasting partner? Are they going to announce the 12 pay-per-view a year thing? Are they throwing everything on Max? I guess we'll find out. But AEW's been with the Warner Brothers Discovery in their various iterations since day one. I would be very surprised if that relationship came to an end. Tony's been very loyal. AEW's been very loyal to the network, and the network's been extremely loyal to them. AEW has delivered consistently for that network in various time slots, all over the place. Dynamite is like a top whatever show every single week. Collision performs very well for its time slot as well, greatly outdoing the programming that Warner had in that slot on a Saturday previously. So it's good stuff across the board. Will this be worth the $1 billion that was touted earlier in the year? I have absolutely no idea whatsoever, but it is the end of an era in AEW, and it starts at Wrestle Dream, which so far looks like a great show. They're giving me Eddie Kingston versus Katsuyori Shibata, for goodness sake. I can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at that at all. Let us know in the comment section for what do you think this new era of AEW is going to represent? Do you think it's something to do with TV rights and pay-per-views, or something entirely different? I don't know, Edge. Who the heck knows? Maybe he'll show up. Mercedes money. There's all kinds of possibilities. Speaking of possibilities, PCO, former Impact Wrestling World Champion, is going to be done with the promotion very, very soon. This broke yesterday. It was the noted wrestling historian Pat LaPrade who tweeted this, or X'd this. I don't know what the verb is now. He said, breaking news, after speaking with sources very close to the situation, I can confirm that PCO has given his notice to Impact Wrestling. His contract ends on October 30th. So moving on to pastures new. Of course, for years and years now, PCO has been one of the great late career comeback stories in professional wrestling, blasting back to relevance in a really spectacular way that nobody would have seen coming. It goes through his run with Impact, through his run with Ring of Honor, on the Indies when he had that match with Walter, or Gunther now, of course, where they emerged and their chests were like blackcurrant colored. It was weird. It was like he just popped a bunch of berries all over each other's pecs. It was disgusting in all the right ways. The guy's been taking some crazy bumps. He's been doing some Frankenstein-y characters along the way, and it's been a hell of a run. Look, I watched this guy as a kid, so it's been really cool seeing him in his 50s and whatever, just crushing it and finding a way to fit in. No idea where the heck he's going. I don't know where this guy will land. Maybe Tony Khan will book him as like a one-off. That'd be kind of fun. But I have no idea whatsoever. Either way, best wishes to PCO on his next move. He's had a long, storied career, and this has been an unexpected late career highlight for the guy. Big loss for Impact Wrestling for sure, right? We're going to move over to our questions today. Shouts to the question mark. Rest in peace. Yeah, like I said, there's only 2 real stories today. There was a new champion crowned on Collision, but we don't usually do those on these videos, so tune in tomorrow. Simon Miller, Ups and Downs, he'll tell you all about that. However, we've got 5 questions from the depths of X, and it begins... I should really made that background like consistently black. Look at the white top and bottom. That's rubbish. Why am I drawing attention to that? I don't know. The first one comes from a Vacant's manager, who would like to know, is there 2 wrestlers out there who could pull off a Mega Powers style program like Savage and Hogan did? Hashtag this is the news. Very interesting question. The idea of pairing up the 2 top babyfaces in the territory for an eventual split. And I'm aware that the circumstances are incredibly different because the big title fight is probably going to happen before them. But I think Cody and Roman could do a version of this. Maybe they could do it in the build-up to the upcoming WrestleMania or whenever they finish the story. But I think that'd be fantastic. Roman Reigns has immense babyface potential later down the line. Cody is obviously universally beloved and is having this all-timer WWE run at the moment. I think they're the 2 people who could do it the best, leading to an eventual split in the match between the 2. Obviously, like I say, the circumstances are completely different. Also, I think Adam Cole and MJF are doing a pretty good job with this kind of thing over at AEW right now. Maybe it's a bit goofier, of course, but hey, we'll see how it pans out. Next question today comes from TKC, TK Cooper. Probably not, but shout outs regardless. A Freeper, greedy. But how do you feel AEW has turned out since CM Punk left? Should they bring back the AEW rankings? And what is the best Death album? Definitely symbolic for me. Keep up the great work. The best Death album for me is Leprosy. It's the best mix for me between the stuff I really like, which is caveman nonsense, and like progressive ideas and technicalities. The best balance for me, personally. Most people would disagree. Should they bring back the rankings in AEW? Yeah, 100%. 100%. Look, I know a lot of people like to nitpick with them and go, this person has 10 wins, but they're all on Dark. Why are they on TV? And like it opened it up to all kinds of silly arguments. But I think that you can ignore those arguments quite easily and see that the rankings were really useful in terms of building like a real sport framework. It was just a really simple, straightforward way to build believable title challengers without having to worry about crafting a greater narrative. If you wanted a challenger of the week for, say, Chris Statlander or whoever the heck else you want to name as a champion in AEW, be like, hey, this person's won 7 matches in a row. They deserve a title shot. Nice and easy, and you can develop some personal issues from there. So yeah, it gave it a structure, it gave it a framework. I really enjoyed the rankings. I'm glad they still have records on the lower thirds as wrestlers come out. But yeah, bring back the rankings. And as far as post CM Punk AEW goes, yeah, I think it's been good. The weekly TV's been on point. Across the board, there's definitely something creeping into AEW, and this is just a wider wrestling thing. It's just what's popping at the moment. I definitely think that AEW is getting a lot more soapy. I don't necessarily think that this has anything to do with Punk leaving, but you're looking at like the MJF, Cole stuff and the various surroundings of that. Roddy Strong, the Kingdom, obviously. You got the Tony Storm character, which is very sports entertainment-y as well. It's definitely moving towards that kind of presentation, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad way. These people are killing it performance-wise, and people are really connecting with this stuff. So good. That's a good thing. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. In recent weeks, certainly. I enjoyed it when Punk was there as well. I do miss having CM Punk on my screen, but I understand why he's not in the promotion anymore. I think AEW's been good. I think All Out was one of the best pay-per-views they've ever done, and that was obviously just a week after... Was it a week? I don't know, a day or whatever after he got fired. And Wrestle Dream looked sensational as well. It's not without its problems, AEW, but it's in a good place. IMO. Next question here comes from Kai Taniguchi, who would like to know, with the possibility of Dolph Ziggler joining his brother at AEW, who do you think are the greatest shoot or kayfabe sibling tag teams of all time? I think there's a lot of viable contenders. We'll do a kayfabe one. Start off, Dudley Boys, obviously. Respect. Childhood favourite of mine. It's pretty cool to see them back in Impact recently as well. As far as real ones go, the Hardy Boys, you can't really look beyond them. Both Briscoes, man, like Jerry and Jack and Jay and Mark, obviously, all-timers. The Steiners, although Rick is obviously outed him as a piece of crap in the year of our complete buffoonery, 2023. But as a tag team, yeah, they were just meathead overlords. Rick's an idiot. Let me just make that clear. And the Funks as well, man. Like, I've never been a big Dory Funk Jr. fan, but when he was teaming with his brother as like the calming influence to Terry's madness, he's just absolutely outstanding. Like, he fits it perfectly, and Terry is like a minimum a top 1 wrestler of all time. So that's my 5. Let me know yours down below. Next question, second last one, comes from Joe Fields. How goes it? This is the news is literally part of my morning routine, so thank you. No, thank you and everyone else for tuning in. We haven't seen Malachi Black or Buddy Matthews since Punk left. They are friends with him. Do you think that either will ever be given a proper singles run in AEW or shelved out of spite? Keep up the good work. No, thank you very much. I don't think either of them will be shelved out of spite. I don't think that AEW will spitefully de-book people who were friends with CM Punk. I don't think the promotion operates that way. That just seems like a way to cause more backstage problems, really. I mean, if you've got people who are annoyed that their friend's no longer there, I think the last thing you ought to do is make them more angry. If that was the case, I don't think FTR would be on TV, or, you know, Brody King is probably the best example of that. We've seen he's good friends with CM Punk. He was frustrated when that whole situation went down, but he was on Collision last night, hyping up Julia Hart with a great promo for Julia's match coming up with Chris Statlander at Wrestle Dream. I don't think they're gonna de-push people out of spite because they're mates with Phil Brooks. I think that everyone we've mentioned here is just fine. I think it's healthy to have a break after you've had a big run. The House of Black have just had a big run, so giving them some time off is a good move across the board. Obviously, Brody and Julia are still there, but they're kind of like a double act anyway. Singles run for Malachi would be tremendous. Buddy singles match also tremendous. But there's all kinds of possibilities for this group as a trio. You could do a 4-on-4. Why the heck not? Get Julia involved. You can do tag teams, Kings of the Black Throne. You can do singles match with all of them. House of Black rule, best stable in the game. That's not an opinion, it's a fact. And speaking of facts, I don't know, these are questions, they're not facts, I'm an idiot. This one comes from Case, who would like to know, should Jade's debut be held for the Royal Rumble so she can break the elimination record, get thrown out by a returning Bianca, and have an amazing first feud? This is sensational. This is the best booking idea I've heard so far for Jade Cargill, so shout outs to you. Yeah, I love this. And do you want to know the perfect part of this for me? Is that you can have Jade training, sharpening up, learning a few WWE-isms in the background before any of this happens without having to put her on NXT and waste that debut pop. I think this is a great idea. I think if you build her up over the course of several weeks and months, you unleash her in the Royal Rumble, make her look like a dominant force. I can't say words. Dominant force in the Royal Rumble. And Bianca would be a tremendous feud as well. The promo battles would be sensational. And Bianca's one of the best stadium wrestlers in the entire world. So it'd be a great WrestleMania program for Jade, for sure. If they were to hold it off that long, yeah, I love this. I think it's sensational. But let us know how you would debut Jade in WWE in the comment section below. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure as always. Check out this video if you liked this one, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Video's done.